Welcome to HP FanFiction. Support me by subscribing the channel. Also, like and share the video to keep me motivated to make more videos like these. When they left the office, both Lily and Harry were surprised to find Lord Parkinson still there by himself, waiting close to the entrance. "Lord Parkinson, is there anything you need?" Lily asked, trying to hide her uneasiness. She did not want to admit that this man scared her a bit. She could never tell what he was thinking behind his cold eyes. "I apologize for my rudeness, but I would like a few words with your son." Lord Parkinson's eyes were completely fixated on Harry as he spoke. It wasn't clear if this was because he only deemed Harry as a threat, or because he refused to completely acknowledge someone with a Muggle-born status. Now that the minister is not present, it seems like he is showing his true personality. Harry thought, "You want to speak alone with my son? What could you possibly have to say that you cannot say in my presence?" Lily asked. "It's okay, Lord Parkinson. My mother is aware of all matters pertaining to our family and yours. My father would keep nothing from her," Harry informed the Lord. For once he saw a change in the man's face. He showed a hint of surprise. "Is that so?" Lord Parkinson said. Before giving the man time to react, Harry's wand was in his hand. With a smooth movement, he created a translucent screen around them. "A privacy charm?" Lord Parkinson asked. He had obviously been startled as his hand was already inside his robes, fetching his wand. "I thought you might want one," Harry said. "It is usually polite to give a warning before performing magic in front of someone else. You never know how they will react," Lord Parkinson said with a stern tone. "As long as they react slower than me, it's all fine," said Harry while keeping his wand in hand. He was seriously considering if it would be a good idea to just kill this man right here and now. It may save him a headache later on. "Auror Dawlish and the minister are waiting for me, just around the corner," Lord Parkinson said as he had just been able to read his intentions. If it wasn't because he could feel their presence, Harry would never have believed that. But the man was not lying. If he killed him here, they would likely put the blame on his mother, since she was right beside him. "I could apparate him into the Chamber of Secrets. Good luck finding his body there. But apparition leaves a trace behind." "Harry, is everything okay? You are making that face again." Lily was looking at him with a worried expression. "Fine, let's hear what Lord Parkinson has to say." Harry will have to let this one go. He may have had 100 different ways to kill this man right now, but none of them would allow him to get away without consequences. "Yes, I wanted to tell you this before it was too late, Mr. Potter." Lord Parkinson moved his eyes around to make sure no one was close by. "There is still time to choose the right alliances. If you are half as clever as I believe you are, then you must have realized already that it is only a matter of time before I gain control of this country." Harry raised an eyebrow. "You are seriously asking me to join your side in this? After everything that happened? Leaving aside the matter of the Slytherin house, this man had already attempted to kill his father and kidnap his mother. That was not something he was going to forget any time soon. Of course your family will have to offer some compensation to the ones you have offended, especially the Montague and Derek families. But we can work something out. My daughter Pansy is very fond of you. As you may know, if you play your cards right, we could even arrange a marriage between the two of you." Lily was shocked after hearing Lord Parkinson's words. She never expected this man to say something like this. "Did you actually expect me to say yes to that? Perhaps this man was not that clever after all." Lord Parkinson frowned. "Mr. Potter, you are young and talented. You may think yourself invincible, but you don't know what you are dealing with here. This is the only time I will make this offer, then it will be too late. It would be a shame if someone with such a bright future—" He let the last words hang in a threatening tone. Of course, to Harry his words sounded ridiculous and kinda ironic. "You are threatening my son." Lily clenched her fist. Harry held her back and got closer to Lord Parkinson. "Harry?" Lily wondered what her son wanted to do. The man took a step back by instinct. He then realized what he was doing and stopped. "You claim that I don't know what I am dealing with, but it is you who should heed those words. You are playing a very dangerous game that you have no way of winning." Harry said the words in a cold tone.
"What are you talking about?"
Parkinson wasn't sure if this boy had lost his senses after feeling threatened. All your political skills, your money, your connections, your blackmail material. It will all be worthless when he returns, and he will kill you in the most painful way available to him for your offense. You are talking nonsense. Parkinson raised his voice. When Harry mentioned a he, a face and name came immediately to his mind. But that was impossible. He was certainly dead. What could this child possibly know that none of his contacts could find out? Your wife and daughter appear to be decent people, at least compared to you and the rest of your associates. So for them I will give you one chance. Take your family and leave the country. Go as far as you can and hide in some hole for the next few years at least. That is your only path to survive right now. Lord Parkinson stared at Harry in disbelief for almost 10 seconds. It appears that I have wasted my time with you. The Lord huffed in annoyance. He could not possibly take the words of a child seriously, no matter how much talent he had for magic. As far as Lord Parkinson was concerned, Harry was one of those geniuses who got arrogant when they gained some fame, and started to talk about things they didn't understand. But no matter what, the Potters will certainly become a problem in my future, and something I will need to address one way or another. The next day, most eyes were on him. Rumors moved quickly inside Hogwarts, and even those who were not in the game or did not see him directly knew what happened already. The only spell used by Harry that the students were able to recognize was the Patronus he used at the beginning, so that is what they talked about the most. At least all they do is look at me. He was used to the stares. As long as people didn't approach him and started to annoy him, he would not mind it that much. But before he could arrive at his table for breakfast, a small boy stood in his way. Hi. I'm Colin Creevy." The young blonde boy raised an old school camera and pointed it at him. "Can I take a picture?" The flash of light that followed indicated he already did. "Fine, you have your picture, now let me eat in peace," Harry told the boy. "But wait, I am a member of Hogwarts newspaper. Can I do an interview with you?" Creevy followed him. "We have a newspaper?" Parvati asked. "Yeah. Why haven't I heard about that? I usually hear about everything that happens here," Lavender inquired. Hermione made a face of displeasure. She obviously hadn't heard about it either but didn't want to admit it. "Well, actually it has been reinstated this year by me," Creevy admitted. "Wait, don't tell me. It's just you," Lavender said. The boy nodded bashfully. "For the moment, but my brother said he will join." His eyes moved back to Harry. "I just want to ask you a few questions. People want to know more about Hogwarts' mysterious genius." Harry raised an eyebrow at the name. "What did you say?" Creevy became more nervous. That's what people have been calling you since last year." "It is kinda your fault, Harry." Lyra leaned closer to him. "You are not very approachable, to be honest. A lot of people ask me questions about you because they don't dare to speak with you in person." "Yes, many students find you very scary," Hermione added. "You didn't know that?" Harry glanced over the Great Hall. Hermione was not wrong. He could recognize the mixture of fear and curiosity in their eyes. "It's better that way, I guess." Since Harry didn't answer the boy, Ron took it upon himself to deal with him. "Just let him eat alone, Creevy. Harry doesn't want your stupid interview," the redhead shouted at the timid boy. Yes, sorry." Colin Creevy ran away from the Great Hall. "Ron, that was totally uncalled for. Colin didn't deserve that." Ginny smacked her brother on the shoulder. "But he is so annoying. Someone had to do something." Ron stood his ground. Harry, one of the Weasley twins, called for him. "We just wanted to say thank you for helping our little sister," the other one added. "No problem. So how is your ankle?" Harry asked. Madame Pomfrey fixed it in like 2 seconds. "No need to worry about." George was interrupted when a commotion erupted in the Great Hall. A group of blackbirds had entered the room and were circling around. "Are those black owls?" "There are 4 of them." Lyra watched with interest, wondering what kind of message they were bringing. "They look very small to be owls," Ginny pointed out. "Those are not owls." Hermione was the first one to notice. "They are ravens." The previous night, Parkinson's second manor. Lord Parkinson arrived late to his meeting. Minister Fudge had insisted he stayed in his office to help fine-tune his speech for the next day. "How did it go?" Lord Flint asked. Lord Parkinson did not answer immediately. Instead, he continued to walk until he reached his usual seat at the head of the table. He sat down and observed the faces of the 15 people sitting in his dining hall. He had more allies, but these 15 were his most trustworthy ones. His inner circle. Well, Corbin Yaxley was a man of little patience, and even less so after spending a decade in Azkaban. I believe, Lord Parkinson started, that the poor Minister Fudge will not be able to keep his position for long. Very soon we will be the ones in control of this country. It would have been faster if we just killed that pudgy bastard like I suggested. Augustus Rookwood chuckled. Yes, we heard that fantastic suggestion of yours, but killing the Minister of Magic would have created a lot of extra problems for us, Lord Montague said. And it was just a matter of time before that incompetent man got himself into trouble. Lord Derek said, well, I can't wait like we talked about it before. We want to be in charge of Hogwarts, Amicus Caro said with a cruel grin. We are going to put all those mudbloods where they belong, his sister added. Lord Parkinson had to put some effort into avoiding a reaction. Those two always creeped him out. He already had a good idea of what they wanted to do with those mudblood children. Speaking of Hogwarts, what about Dumbledore? Avery Jr. asked. Yes, it's not like Fudge was ever much of a problem, but even the Dark Lord was wary of that old man. Lord Selwyn reminded them. The headmaster won't be a problem for long. Lord Parkinson's eyes went to a burly man sitting close by. Isn't that right, Dolohov? About that, the man made a troubled face. Greyback is asking for an extra 50%. What? Outrageous. Who does he think he is? That beast. Pay him. Parkinson did not hesitate. Before the other lords could begin complaining, he raised his hand in a placating manner. Once we have complete control over magical Britain, we will strip all those blood traitor families of their assets. Money will not be an issue as long as we win, so pay that man what he asks. His role is a crucial one. Speaking of blood traitors, Montague glanced at the other lords next to him. We decided to send the ravens to Potter in the morrow. Lord Derek added, unless you have any objections. Lord Parkinson considered telling them about his private talk with Harry Potter, but he decided against it. Nothing good would come out of that. And Potter had rejected it anyway, before telling him all that nonsense. Go ahead, Lord Parkinson said. With Harry Potter's death there will be one less headache for the future. I hope Pansy doesn't take it too badly. The four crows continued to fly over the Great Hall for another minute while all the students and teachers stared at them with interest. The birds began to descend and move towards one particular table. Both McGonagall and Lily Potter saw with horror in their eyes as the crows landed right in front of Harry. He moved his plate aside and the four crows got closer. Harry noticed that all of them carried small black letters in their beaks. One by one the crows deposited the letters in front of him, under the watchful eyes of the students. Black letters? What is that about? Lyra asked, but could already imagine it was not good news. A blood feud, Hermione said with excitement. Ah, sorry, I just remembered reading something about black letters being delivered by crows in a book about old wizard traditions. A blood feud? Is it from those Slytherin families? Ginny asked, with worry. Harry's conflict with the Slytherins was not much of a secret at this point. Without saying a word he picked up the first letter and was about to open it when Professor McGonagall and his mother ran to his side. Mr. Potter? No. Harry, wait. Don't open that, Lily warned. Is there a problem, Professor? Harry asked. Those letters are declarations of blood feuds, the professor cried. Yes, I already knew that. He opened the first letter. Harry, Lily exclaimed. Blood feud? Lyra was surprised. Isn't that like declaring war on our family? That is exactly what that is, Miss Potter. These things are rarely used nowadays, but the ministry never removed them. Professor McGonagall said. It's not really against our family. Harry was reading the first letter. Their feud is only with me. There is no mention of the remaining Potter family. Let me see it. Lily took the paper and started reading. Her expression became more upset the more she read. How dare they? They are declaring the feud against Harry and challenging him to a duel for this supposed attack against their heirs. Can they do that? My brother is just in his 3rd year. How can a bunch of adults challenge him like that? Lyra said. I'm afraid they can, said McGonagall. Those laws are completely archaic. Does someone have a quill? I need to sign at the end to accept the duel. Harry looked around. Harry, are you sure about this? Lily stared at her son with a serious expression. Refusing this would not put an end to the blood feud. If I don't accept the duel, they could then go after our family in other ways. The duel is a much more direct and preferable option. Harry said, perhaps we could discuss this with the headmaster. He may have a better alternative. Or we can go to the minister. Lily, McGonagall yelled when she saw Lily handing Harry a quill. I trust my son. If he says he can handle this. Lily knew that McGonagall was not going to understand it because she didn't know what her son was capable of. Harry signed the 4 letters and gave them back to the crows, who took them and flew away. The 4 blood feuds had been issued by the Montague, Derek, Flint and Pusey families. The duels would take place in 1 month in the Ministry Dueling Arena, located in the basement. On that same day, in the late afternoon, Harry entered his workshop at the Castle Foundation. The matter about the blood feuds and the duel was only of little significance to him. Instead, he had something much more important to worry about. His batch of magic kit was finally ready. It was time to craft a few artifacts. Let's see. He stared at the cauldron filled with molten metal. This one was much bigger than the previous one. He was planning on creating some protective artifacts for his parents, Ginny, Luna and Daphne. The design was the same one that he used for Lyra's, but the materials this time were of much higher quality. Lord Greengrass had provided him with the best of the best. The least he could do was give his daughters some protection. Once those were ready, it was time for the main event. He was going to create another set of the 7 Arkstone Array artifact, like the one he lost the previous year. Except that given his recent physical improvements, he figured he was going to take things one step further. The design for the 9 Arkstone Array version was already in his memory. It was originally designed by the combined effort of Luna and Hermione, but neither of them thought that his body would have been able to take such a massive input of magic, so it was never created. His current body has far surpassed his old one, and now he was sure that this time, he would be able to use it. Even with only 2 extra pieces, the amount of power generated by these artifacts should be exponentially higher. Each Arkstone was able to hold the same amount of magic as an average wizard, but when all 7 pieces are activated together, the output is more than double that. For a brief moment Harry was wielding the power of around 14 wizards, plus his own. If their calculations were correct, the 9-piece array should give him the power of 30 wizards added to his own magic. I could destroy an entire city block with a bombarder. His body shook with anticipation, and a smile crept onto his face. Let's do this. February 12, Ministry of Magic. Ah, the Potters, we were waiting for you. Dolores Umbridge offered them a fake smile before turning to the other person next to them. Headmaster Dumbledore, I'll admit we were not expecting you to attend. Harry Potter is one of my students. I thought that at the very least I should be here as a witness. I hope that won't be an inconvenience. Dumbledore told her. Of course, follow me. She turned around and started walking at a brisk pace. Harry observed his surroundings as they walked and paid close attention to the people working at the ministry. There was a clear tension in the air. It had been like that since Minister Fudge was relieved from his position with the most dishonor. It only took 2 weeks for this to happen since the disastrous interview where he attempted to explain the presence of Dementors at Hogwarts. Not long after that, documents depicting many illegal deals he had made with Lucius Malfoy, among other lords, ended up in the hands of Amelia Bones, as well as the press. Former Minister Fudge was very lucky to avoid ending up in prison, but ultimately was forced to leave the country in order to escape the public's outrage. The Wizengamot is due to get together and decide the next minister in just a few days, but everyone knows it is merely a formality. Lord Parkinson had the majority support in that chamber. This means that everyone who was not part of his conservative faction is due to have a bad time working here. Here we are. Umbridge pointed her wand at an old-looking stone door and this one opened up. Once inside they found themselves in a large circular room. There were seats all around it and a stone arena in the middle. There were barely any decorations at all. It was all very rustic looking. This place hasn't changed. Dumbledore commented. You've been here before? Lily asked. It's been a few decades. This chamber was used often in the past. When a disagreement between 2 lords could no longer be discussed with words, they would come here to solve it with their wands. And that is exactly what we are doing today. Lord Parkinson approached them. I was not expecting you to be here, Lord Parkinson, Dumbledore said. He walked from the other side of the circular room. Behind him one could see the four lords, Flint, Montague, Derek and Pusey, as well as their sons, the ones who Harry attacked that day. Graham Montague was still missing his arm. As for Peregrine Derek, his wound was not visible, but by the deadly look he was giving Harry, it was still there. These lords are good friends of mine. I could not miss this. Like you, Albus, I am here to be a witness to this duel. Let us hope that after today, we can put behind this ugly business between us. Lord Parkinson said, Is that what you call this? An ugly business? Those lords challenged my 13-year-old son to a death duel, James shouted. And your son agreed to it, Lord Parkinson reminded him. Mr. Potter, be more mindful of how you address Lord Parkinson. You better learn to be more respectful if you want to keep that little job of yours. Umbridge's tone of voice became more acute, almost like a shriek. Lily appeared ready to rip the toad-like woman a new one, so Harry decided to step in. Let us get this ugly business going, shall we? Who am I dueling exactly? Harry walked through the sitting area, getting closer to the others, the guy with no arm, the one with no dick, the other two losers, or perhaps their parents, those great respectable lords who would gladly lower themselves to fight a child. How shameful. He shook his head. Potter, you bastard, Peregrine Derek screamed at him. I'm going to kill you myself. He was about to move to the arena when his father stopped him. Control yourself, Peregrine. Don't fall for his provocations. Ahem. Umbridge cleared her throat. Before we get to that, boy, she glared at Harry. We need to make the rules clear, as is customary. She walked to the arena but stopped before it. Only those who are willing to fight to the death shall step on this arena. Killing will only be allowed in this particular space and only for the duration of this duel. There will be no restriction on spells. Everything is allowed. They are even allowing the 3 unforgivables. Lily gasped. There is something off in the way she worded those rules, Dumbledore noticed. Silence. I was not done, Umbridge huffed. Now, where was I? Right. There will be no race, Potter, she yelled at Harry when she saw him stepping into the arena. What? You are taking too long. So everything is allowed. Got it. He looked at the 4 pure-blood families. I assume you were thinking of stepping in all at the same time, right? Well, come on then. Get in here. He pointed at the arena. What? Is that true? Lily asked. Of course, they didn't dare to fight him in an individual duel. James glanced at his son. He made them promise that no matter what happens they will not intervene. He had no reason to doubt his son's abilities, but this still felt wrong. That confidence is going to kill you, Potter. Graham Montague shouted. He and his other 3 housemates approached the stone arena. Since this is an issue between our boys, we are going to let them solve it, Lord Derek said. Although in reality none of the lords had the intention to sit there and do nothing. If their heirs were in danger, if they saw that Potter had a chance of winning, they had planned to step into the arena and kill the boy together. The rules were left vague to allow this. Everyone who steps into the arena will have to fight to the death, but there is no restriction on who can step in. Marcus Flint, Adrian Pusey, Graham Montague, and Peregrine Derek got ready to enter the arena. The 4 lords stood waiting right outside while Lord Parkinson was seated a short distance behind. James, Lily and Dumbledore were on the other side of the arena, behind Harry. The 4 boys stared at Harry, eager to jump into the arena and end his life once and for all. Montague's eyes went to the strange pieces of jewelry on Harry's body. He had never seen him wear anything like that before. Nice earrings, Potter, he said in a mocking voice. Thanks, I made them myself, Harry answered with indifference. The smile vanished from Montague's face. That's not what I meant. Graham, that's enough, don't bother talking to him. Marcus Flint took charge, as usual. And soon enough it won't matter. Soon, Potter will be dead. He was sure of that. What are you doing? Peregrine Derek exclaimed while pointing at Harry, who was now sitting on the arena floor with his legs crossed. Potter, I hope you are not considering giving up, because I'm afraid it's too late for that already, Dolores Umbridge said in a condescending way. James and Lily also wondered what their son was planning. Who said anything about giving up? I just felt like sitting. It's not like those 4 idiots have a chance. Might as well give them a bit of a handicap. Harry said, "How dare you? We don't need a handicap." His words enraged the boys, who then proceeded to yell at him. Do not fall for his cheap provocations. Lord Flint told them calmly, for they do nothing more than to show his own insecurities. Focus on what you have learned and you will be fine. The boys calmed down after hearing this. With their confidence back, they remembered their original plan. Since their encounter with Harry, they had been practicing hard on learning a single spell, a spell they were going to use in order to destroy him today, right in front of his parents. They looked at each other and recovered their confident smiles. They were ready now. Lumbridge glanced at Lord Parkinson and this one nodded, giving his approval to begin. Very well. Today we are in this ancient chamber to carry out the blood feud between the Potter family, with the following wizard families: Flint, Derek, Montague and Pusey. This will be done by a duel to the death in this arena. Everyone who steps on it will be considered a participant, and thus will be allowed to kill or be killed without any legal consequences on the ministry's part. All magic is allowed, nothing is forbidden in this place. After finishing her announcement, she got closer to the 4 boys and spoke in a lower voice. The moment you set foot on the arena, the duel shall begin. Umbridge reminded them, so they knew to cast their spells immediately, not giving Harry time to react. With their wands in hand, the 4 of them jumped onto the stone arena, and immediately pointed their wands at Harry. There was no way for Harry to deal with 4 spells such as these at the same time. That's what they thought at least. The 4 boys chanted in unison. Evad, 4 letters. That was as far as they got in their incantation. It all happened in an instant. Everything looked normal and then, without any warning, dozens of spikes formed from the stone surface of the arena. The spikes shot upwards almost as fast as bullets, not giving the 4 boys time to process what was happening before they found themselves impaled in various spots of their bodies, and lifted in the air like pieces of dead meat. It took a few seconds for the ones watching to understand exactly what had transpired, since it was all too brief. The 4 lords screamed the names of their sons. It was in vain. The 4 boys were already dead. The spikes had pierced their vital organs, killing them almost instantly. None of the lords could have predicted for this duel, if it could still be called that, to end in such a way. Harry lifted his wand a little bit. As the contact with the stone surface broke, the spikes sank back into the ground where they came from. The spectators then realized that Harry had not sat down in an attempt to provoke them or give them any form of advantage, but he did it simply to be closer to the stone surface so he could perform his transfiguration much faster. That was both impressive and brutal. James commented. He did not hesitate for a second. I'm glad he didn't, Lily huffed. Those boys were going to kill him. I know, Lily, I know. I'm not judging him. I have been on that side many times too. I know how it feels. James said in a placating manner. It was more than impressive, that is for sure, Dumbledore interjected. What Harry just did was not technically a spell. He performed a very complex free transfiguration, commanding his magic to morph the surface of the arena and bend it to his will, and he did incredibly fast. Preposterous, Umbridge shouted. How can that blood traitor kill the 4 heirs like that? He must have cheated. Lord Parkinson stared at Harry with an increasing feeling of worry. He had hoped for this matter to be over quickly, but not like this. Now it was up to the 4 lords to take action. Wait, don't step in yet. Lord Flint's tone was cold, but firm. Don't try to stop me, I'm ripping that boy apart. Lord Derek screamed. Do you want to suffer the same fate as our sons? Use your head, Lord Montague said. They are right, that boy's transfiguration is too fast. Going in there without a plan would be suicide. Lord Pusey tried to maintain his calm despite the situation. We have already underestimated that boy too much. We cannot make any more mistakes today. That is why I said to wait. I have a plan. Lord Flint got closer to the platform, and tapped it with his wand while chanting several sentences in Latin. Is that a protection charm? One of the other lords recognized part of the chant. Correct, Lord Flint finished his chanting. This will prevent the boy from using transfiguration on the arena. You know? Harry stood up. I feel offended that you thought I was going to pull the same thing against you. Ignore his petty taunts, Lord Flint said coldly. Harry walked to the edge of the arena and stopped there before turning around and waiting for them. He is going to be okay, right? Lily said softly. I think so. James could not help but worry too. He knew his son was incredibly capable, but there aren't many wizards out there who could take on 4 experienced opponents, and Lord Flint had sealed his strongest weapon. Be at ease, Dumbledore said. I believe that Harry had only shown us but a tiny fraction of what he is truly capable of. He could feel the magic stirring around Harry's body. He was clearly doing something while standing there, but even with all his years of experience he could not begin to guess what this boy was planning on doing. The lords started discussing among themselves in a low voice, trying to come up with some plan while Harry waited patiently in the arena. What the 4 lords didn't realize was that giving him all this time to prepare was going to be a fatal mistake on their part. One they will pay dearly for. 5 of his 9 pieces of magicite jewels became a light. For this next magic, he was going to need a small boost. The lords finished their secret talk, and without saying one more word, they separated and walked to 4 different spots, surrounding Harry. Their logic was obvious. As long as they are not close to each other, it would be impossible for Harry to attack them all at the same time. And while he focuses on one opponent, the other will be free to shoot at him. Without further warning they stepped into the arena. What is this? Dumbledore's eyes opened wide. He had always been very sensitive when it came to magic. This sensitivity was one of the main things that allowed him to become the wizard he is today. But what Harry was doing, he had never seen that before. Albus, Lily gave the headmaster a side glance. By the time the last lord put his feet on the stony surface of the circular arena, they began casting their most deadly curses at him. But Harry's spell was already complete. All it needed was a swift flicker of his wand. The 5 arkstones shone in an eerie blue light as their magic was put to use. The air let out a cracking noise as if his magic was breaking it apart. No words came out of Harry's mouth. Like the one from before, this was a type of free transfiguration. The 4 lords stopped their chants midway. They all felt there was something very wrong with their bodies. The next second a short blood-curdling scream came out of their mouths before they turned into dust and disappeared. Whoa, what was that? James shouted. Where did they go? Umbridge moved her head frantically around the room. What happened? Lily could not understand it either. Those men are dead, Dumbledore said with a somber tone. Dead? But what kind of dark magic was that? Umbridge pointed at Harry. What did you do? Those were lords of ancient magical families, valuable members of magical society. Harry turned to her. I did the same thing they intended to do to me. As for what magic I used, it is irrelevant. All magic is allowed. Those were your words, weren't they? Lord Parkinson. Dumbledore decided to speak before that woman started to run her mouth. I believe this matter can be considered settled. Parkinson moved his eyes away from Harry, trying his best to hide his worry. Why yes, I think so too. Come on, Madam Umbridge. We have much to do. His inner circle must be informed about what happened today as soon as possible. They will need to discuss further on a way to deal with Harry Potter. Up until now he had only considered Dumbledore as a real threat to his plans, while Harry had been nothing more than annoyance and potential future problem. But today's demonstration had completely changed his view. The boy was a monster, perhaps as much as his old master, and will need to be approached with the utmost care. He left the room with brisk steps while the toad-looking woman followed behind. Harry! Lily came running to him and gave him a tight hug as soon as he came down from the stone platform. I hope that didn't change your opinion of me, Harry said softly. Lily's answer was to hug him tighter. Never. You did what you had to do, son. James patted his shoulder and gave him an encouraging nod. Harry. Dumbledore approached too. His face looked slightly paler. That surprised, huh? Harry told him. He knew that the old headmaster was the only one in the room who truly understood what he did. How? Dumbledore asked. You broke the laws of transfiguration. Harry, how did you do that? The law of transfiguration? Lily asked. That was a transfiguration. James looked at Harry in disbelief. I see now Harry didn't touch any of them. That's right. Transfiguration requires physical contact. But Harry used it from the other side of the arena. Lily said. There is always a way to bend the rules. You know this well, Professor, Harry commented. But this is hardly the best place to have this discussion. We should leave before that Toad snaps and tries to get me arrested. Toad? Lily asked. I assume he is referring to Madame Umbridge, James answered. Lily appeared to be thinking for a moment before she started to chuckle. She does look like a toad. Yes. But don't let her hear you say that. That woman has a nasty personality. Harry would later on explain to Dumbledore how to accomplish his little trick. It wasn't too complicated. One just needed perfect control over one's magic, as well as a large amount of it. He then concentrated strands of magic until they became a pseudo-physical and tangible material, like very thin strands of fishing wire. They are almost impossible to see unless you know what to look for. They could, however, be detected by the most skilled wizards. Once these strands touched his target, Harry could use transfiguration on them with no issues. Now this was hardly an efficient way of killing by any means. Besides the high magical consumption, it is also unlikely to work on any powerful wizard. The strands of magic can be detected and destroyed by the most skilled individuals. And human transfiguration can be resisted by the target, the same way that the Imperio curse can be thrown off by people with strong minds. Human transfiguration can suffer the same fate against those who are exceptionally powerful. It was still useful if you chose the right targets. Harry knew those four lords would have no chance to defend themselves against it, making this a very efficient and decisive way to end this duel. Inane. Allow me to clarify something. I know that in canon, transfiguration doesn't have these limitations. They're just something I added in this fic for mainly two reasons. For one, it makes sense that in order to manipulate the shape of something you need some form of physical contact to do so. And I also believe it makes it more interesting for Harry to have the need to tap his wand on different surfaces in order to transform them. The news about his duel did not take long to reach the ears of the school. The next newspaper arrived with a very detailed and very unflattering article written by Rita Skeeter. The whispers quieted down as the students saw Harry making his way to classes. They would even move out of the way to let him pass. If the students had been slightly afraid of him before, they were now completely terrified. Perhaps calling the article unflattering was an understatement, considering that the only source of information was no other than Dolores Umbridge. It was an extremely one-sided story that tried to portray Harry, his family, and the headmaster in the worst light possible. Despite this having been a duel to the death that four lords pushed on a 13-year-old boy, Rita would still find ways to make Harry appear as the bad guy of the story, and a ruthless murderer. She even ended the article with a, "Is this the potential beginning of a new Dark Lord? Should the Ministry do something about it before it's too late?" His family was understandably outraged by the article. His mother had even sent several howlers to the Prophet, and his father sent a formal request to rectify the article. Harry knew it wasn't going to work. Not only is Rita Skeeter an incredibly stubborn woman, but at this point Lord Parkinson should have a very strong grip on that newspaper. They won't retract something that benefits him. The man wants to control the country using politics, so controlling the most popular newspaper would be crucial for that. Most people will believe anything that was written in these, so he can decide what stories he wants them to believe. He didn't really care that much about all of this. At the end of the day, Lord Parkinson's political plays were not going to save him. 2 weeks later, and to the surprise of almost no one, another paper with big news appeared. Perseus Parkinson had been selected as the new Minister of Magic, after a long Wizengamot session. March 9. Are you sure you want people to see us together? Harry asked. Daphne shrugged. It matters little anymore. And my house is terrified of you. They won't even look my way after they saw us speak the other day. It's not the students who worry me. The current minister and I aren't exactly on friendly terms. As you can imagine, if he thinks he can get to me by attacking you, I'm always careful. And it's not like everyone in my house is a fan of the minister, but let's not talk about that. She clasped her hands together. Today you invited me here because it's my 14th birthday. Remember? Ah, yes. It was she who insisted that he had to bring her to Hogsmeade today. Wait, I didn't know it was your birthday, and you want to celebrate it. Here, Harry looked around at the tacky decorations of the coffee shop. Everything but the floor was some tone of pink. Well, I heard the tea was really good here. Welcome to Madame Pudifoots. A very cheerful waitress with a frilly pink dress approached them. What would you like to drink? Perhaps an Earl Grey tea, a strawberry rose tea infused with hibiscus, or perhaps you would be more interested in our best-selling item, the couple's special. She gave them a playful wink. Both Harry and Daphne groaned at the same time. I'll take some Earl Grey tea, please. And some pastries, said Daphne. I'll take the same, Harry added. Noticing that her teasing was not having the intended effect, the waitress finished their order and left. Sorry for bringing you here. I thought it would be too embarrassing to come alone with Tracy. Also, she has started dating Not, so she wouldn't have time anyway. It's no problem, but I would prefer a different place next time, said Harry. A small smile appeared on Daphne's face. Next time? But I hope you are not expecting a grand gift from me. I didn't even know it was your birthday. You could have asked. And I already gave you that thing. He pointed at the magicite ring on her left index finger. It was a shield ring like the one he made for Lyra. This one came out more potent due to the higher quality materials. Daphne clutched her ring. No, I don't need any more gifts. I just wanted to talk with you for a bit. That's all. Okay, and was there anything specific you wanted to talk about? Harry asked her. Actually, yes. She pulled something small from a hidden pocket. She then gave it to Harry so he could take a better look. He recognized this piece of cardboard. This is what Morgana gave you so you could find her shop. The front displayed the shop information. Turn it around. Harry did that and discovered that some letters had appeared on the previously empty space. Give me a visit on Easter break, okay? Don't disappoint me. But, what do you think she wants? Daphne asked, with concern. She had done nothing that could have offended her. I thought she was going to wait a few more years before inviting you. She must be worried about something. You know why she is telling me to visit her? Likely. She wants to offer you an apprenticeship, or at least test you to see your affinity with her branch of magic. Apprenticeship? Lady Yaffel wants to teach me. Daphne could not believe it. If this woman was who Harry suggested, she would be taught by someone who could almost be considered the female counterpart of the great Merlin. That's not an opportunity given to many. You could learn a lot from her. That woman is one of the most ancient beings in this world, and one of the most dangerous ones. Daphne looked more nervous now. Then, can I? Here is your tea. Daphne almost jumped from the chair by the shock. She was so focused on the conversation that she didn't even notice the waitress approaching with their order. My, you look very nervous, dear. Is this your first date? The waitress asked casually while placing their drinks on the table. No, I mean, yes, no. I mean, it's not a date. Daphne's cheeks started to turn pink. Oh, I see. It always starts like that. Don't worry, dear. Everything will turn out okay. The waitress gave her a grin and a wink before leaving again. Technically, it's our second date. Remember that day I took you to the chamber? Harry asked. How can I forget that? And that was not a date. Daphne wanted to smack his head but didn't want to make a scene in a place this full. She still had an image to maintain. I see. So what were you going to say before? I was going to ask if you could accompany me to the shop. I can take you to the entrance, but this is something you need to do on your own. Prove that old hag that you are someone capable and worth teaching. Daphne realized that Harry was right. Acting like a scared girl was not going to earn her any favors with that witch. Any advice? Sure, don't mention Merlin, like ever. Under no circumstances. It's actually better if you don't mention anyone from old Camelot. She doesn't have fond memories from back then, I believe. Do you know what happened to her? She asked with interest while leaning forward. I don't know much. Just that at some point the old wizard managed to tie her to the lands surrounding Diagon Alley. She can never go too far before being pulled back again. I wonder what happened, Daphne said. Harry shrugged. She never gave me the details. Perhaps you can earn her trust more than I did. Harry reminisced about the past. The Morgana he knew died the day that London was obliterated by a high-ranked demon attack. She only survived long enough to tell him a few things. Had she been able to move around freely, she would have had no problem surviving that attack. And with her help they may have been able to end the war a decade earlier at least. Harry? Yes? You mentioned before that she was a blood witch, right? Isn't that magic incredibly dark? Is that what she would want me to learn? That is her specialty, but hardly the only thing she knows. However, you would be wrong to dismiss an entire branch of magic as evil, just because the ministry says so, or because many wizards and witches have used it for nefarious purposes. At the end of the day, magic has no will of its own. It's just a tool that you can use to accomplish your goals. I understand. She felt a bit better hearing Harry say that. Then, I've made up my mind. I will go visit her on Easter break. April 3rd. The entire school was in the Great Hall celebrating the beginning of the last trimester. Harry had returned home for the break since he didn't have any urgent business to complete on the outside at the moment. He spent most of his free time keeping company with his little sister while his mother worked on preparing for the end of the school year. She had a lot of work for the senior students. He spoke several times with his father, James. Things at the ministry had become even worse. Parkinson and his followers were trying their best to remove anyone who disagreed with their political views or refused to follow orders blindly. Those close to him continued to receive promotions while others, like his father, found themselves either being demoted or fired. It was only thanks to Amelia Bones, who still had a lot of influence in the ministry, that he was able to keep his job at all. But he was still delegated to a desk job, with little to no authority. It wasn't like James needed the money. He could quit at any point if he wanted to. But if the few people willing to oppose the minister were to quit, things could spiral out of control very quickly. This was the main reason for people like James Dawlish or Alistair Moody to remain there. But Minister Parkinson still has one big hurdle to overcome if he wants to have complete control over the country. He needs to rid himself of Albus Dumbledore. Not only is he the headmaster of Hogwarts, but also the chief warlock in the Wizengamot and the supreme mugwump of the International Confederation of Wizards. His influence could even surpass that of the minister in certain matters. For as long as Albus Dumbledore is allowed to remain, Parkinson will never have complete authority, and he is very much aware of this fact. Harry thought for a while but could not think of anything that Parkinson could do to get the old man removed from his several positions of power. Unless something major were to occur in the castle, something that the minister could put the full blame on the headmaster, like a very serious crime or some incident that caused the deaths of several students. Attention everyone, I need a minute of your time. While Harry was lost in his thoughts, the headmaster walked to the podium in order to make an announcement. Who is that ugly woman next to the headmaster? Ron asked, while pointing at a short woman wearing a ridiculously pink dress and a wide smile that didn't reach her eyes. Ron, that is so rude, Hermione complained. Well, she is very unpleasant to look at. That smile gives me the creeps, Lavender said with a deep frown on her face. Does anyone know who she is? I doubt they would be introducing a new professor this late. Parvati stared at the woman with interest. That is Dolores Umbridge. A bootlicker from the ministry with too much authority, Harry said. Oh, I've heard that name before, Fred exclaimed. That's the one who keeps trying to get our dad fired from the ministry, added George. I heard Mum speak about her, Ginny mumbled, said that she is the nastiest woman she had ever met. Attention please. Dumbledore spoke again. Tonight we have a representative from the ministry with an important announcement to make. The woman pretended to cough before lightly pushing the old headmaster away from the podium. I can take it from here, headmaster. Dumbledore found her rude attempts very amusing. Of course, Madam Umbridge. Go ahead. He moved aside. I am Madam Umbridge, she exclaimed a lot louder than necessary. I represent the Grand Minister Parkinson himself. This means that my words shall be taken with the same level of authority and respect as you would give the minister himself. She glanced down at a paper she was holding and gave it a quick read before continuing. This school has recently been involved in an unfortunate incident involving some dementors. The current minister, in his infinite kindness, has decided to compensate the students for that terrible experience. Murmurs in the hall grew louder. Does she mean those clouds that appeared during the Quidditch game? Compensation? What is she talking about? What is the ministry going to give us? You think it's money? Run, they are not going to give us money. Neville sighed. Silence, Umbridge screamed before slamming her hand on the podium. Once the students calmed down a bit, she continued, Do not interrupt me like that again. Now where was I? Or yes, compensation. She glanced at the paper again. On June 1, the Ministry will be hosting a wonderful party here at Hogwarts. There will be luxurious meals and a music band for the dance. You will receive more details by Owl in the next few days. A party, Lavender said with excitement. A dance, Parvati added. Oh, that sounds fun, Lyra said. So no money then? Ron said with disappointment. What kind of party will it be? Neville asked. Food and stuff, Seamus shrugged. Everyone around him appeared to be excited about the prospect of a party by the end of the year. Harry was the only one who didn't seem delighted in the slightest. So this is it then? A great chance to give free access to the castle to anyone the minister wants. A party hosted by the ministry would mean that guests from said ministry will be expected, as well as personnel bringing things like food and decorations. Because of this, it would not be weird for the minister to request Hogwarts wards to be temporarily disabled. Or at least, that's what Harry thought at that moment. Expelliarmus. The flash of light left Ginny's wand. Harry gave his own wand a flick. This made the light return to where it came from, hitting Ginny's wand and sending it flying away. Try not to make it so obvious. You need to chain several spells together so your opponent can't just deflect your disarms or stunners that easily, Harry explained. Sorry, Ginny lowered her head in shame. It's fine, Harry brushed it off. You are still doing great for a second year. Much better than my sister. Hey, I can hear you. Lyra was a short distance away, fighting against a dummy. I can't believe you are making us practice on a Friday afternoon. I don't mind, Ginny said softly. Dismember. Luna's spell hit the dummy and it was immediately ripped apart. Luna started to laugh maniacally. Did you see that, Tori? Astoria glanced at the remains of the training dummy as it tried to put itself together. Scary. Harry, why would you teach Luna something like that? Lyra exclaimed. Luna, remember what you promised me? Harry asked her. I will only use it on the bad guys, Luna said with excitement while waving her hand around. See? No problem, he told his sister. I see a huge problem, Lyra replied. Harry. Daphne walked past Lyra and stood in front of Harry with her wand in hand. Want to practice? He asked, and Daphne nodded. Harry moved to the middle of the room and stood there. You can begin. He hadn't seen much of Daphne since she came back from her training with Morgana, but he could tell that she had improved a lot in such a short amount of time. Daphne moved her wand in a quick immersive motion. In Carcerus, a dozen ropes shot towards him at great speed. But she was not done yet. Aguamenti. A cascade of water came from above. Glacius. The water transformed into spikes made of ice. Protego. A shield appeared around Harry, blocking both the ropes and spikes from reaching him. Lapis. Daphne kneeled down and touched the stone floor. Transfiguration. Harry was surprised to see this. He had not taught her any elemental transfiguration. Spiker. Harry jumped backward before a spike made of stone managed to pierce his body. Not bad, Harry remarked. I'm not done. Daphne moved forward and aimed her wand at the stone spike itself. Depulso. A concentrated gust of air broke the spike into small pieces and shot them at Harry like bullets. He conjured a shield in front of him to block the shrapnel, while starting his counterattack. A dozen birds made of paper made their way to Daphne. While she considered how to deal with them, Harry had already cast 2 more spells. A group of spiders had been summoned and were moving at fast speed towards her. When Daphne attempted to move back, she noticed the floor was extremely slippery. Evane! She attempted to vanish the creatures around her before it was too late. Silencio! But found herself unable to speak. A tripping jinx sent her tumbling down on the ground while birds landed on top of her head and the spiders started to climb across her legs. Do you yield? Harry pointed his wand at her. Daphne nodded vigorously. So Harry dispelled the summoned creatures and removed the silencing charm on her. Ah, I hate spiders. Daphne exclaimed. Daphne, that was amazing. Lyra approached. Yes, where did you learn to do all of that? Did Harry teach you? Ginny could not hide her jealousy at this point. Daphne, great. Astoria tapped her shoulder. Well, I have been doing some extra practice during the break, Daphne said. She could not mention where she had been, Only her parents had a vague idea of what was going on. How was it? Daphne stood up from the floor and got closer to Harry. Good, but you got easily distracted with those summons and stopped paying attention to what I was doing. You should have been able to avoid that silencing charm with ease, Harry explained. Why did you have to summon spiders? Even a snake would have been fine. Daphne wanted to complain, but she knew she should have done better. Let me try again. Take it easy. Why don't you practice a bit with Ginny and Lyra? I have to go check on Luna and your sister, Harry suggested, but seeing her face of disappointment, he decided to add, fine, just give me 20 minutes. Then we can do it again. He then approached Luna and Astoria. How did I do? Luna pointed at the targeted dummy with missing arms. Great, but remember that against a real person, you will have put a lot of power into that spell. Real bodies are a lot more resistant than you imagine. Luna nodded vigorously. I see. It needs more power. Harry. Astoria looked at him. He glanced at the girl. She was still not talking much. I guess it's hard to break old habits. Teach me, Astoria demanded while making an expression that was probably the closest she could get to a pout. Harry found it amusing that she was probably being jealous of her sister Daphne. The only problem is that I still don't know if there is any type of magic that she stands out on. She seems to be decent at everything. Is there anything in particular you want to learn? He decided to ask. Astoria shrugged. Well, it's a bit early, but if I teach you the basics of silent casting, she seems to dislike speaking, so learning to use spells without having to say anything will probably benefit her more than most. Astoria smiled. Apparently she loved the idea. 1 week before the party, Minister Parkinson had called his inner circle for one last meeting, before the day, to make sure everything was ready. While looking at the faces around the table, he couldn't help but miss Montage, Flint, Derek, and Pusey. They were 4 of his most trustworthy men and had known them for years. The minister could not help but feel guilty for what happened to those men. If only he had put more effort into investigating Potter's abilities. Now the table looked so empty without them. Wait, he just noticed there were 5 empty seats and not 4. Where is Yaxley? Parkinson demanded to know. This was an extremely important meeting. This may decide whether they succeed or fail in driving Dumbledore away and eliminating Harry Potter. The men glanced at the empty seat belonging to Yaxley. I haven't seen him since 2 weeks ago, Augustus Rookwood said. Parkinson frowned. He now recalled an argument they had back then. Yaxley had disagreed with his plans, and had wanted to take a more subterfuge approach. Did he betray me? Parkinson could not help but think. No one has seen him, he asked. The men shook their heads or chose to remain silent. If they think they can betray me when things go wrong and suffer no consequences, that would set a dangerous precedent for his rule as Dark Lord. Goyle, Crabbe, and Avery, find Yaxley and bring him to me. If he has betrayed us, we will have to show him what we do with traitors. The men at least appeared to accept his order. He had chosen Crabbe and Goyle because they always followed orders, and Avery because he was a sadist who enjoyed hunting people down. Now, let's get to the main topic of this meeting, said Lord Parkinson. Greyback is bringing almost his entire pack, 28 werewolves plus himself. Antonin Dolohov said, that is more than overkill already. Do we even need the trolls? Jugson asked. 5 trolls and 15 of the outer circle recruits, all ready for action. Walden McNair said. Excellent. Lord Parkinson smiled. His eyes then moved to Mr. Jugson. I know you all think that bringing such a force to deal with one boy is ridiculous, but must I remind you that this is the boy who killed 4 adult wizards with a single spell? Parkinson slammed his hand on the table. He knew that his story about what happened that day at the arena was going to be hard to believe. That's why he went as far as to let these men review his memories of the event using a pencil. But he was afraid that even with that, it may not have been enough. No matter, we cannot be too cautious with this. This plan cannot fail. There is too much at stake, Lord Parkinson said. He is right, Lord Selwyn agreed. In a week we will get rid of that Potter boy as well as the boy who lived, and Albus Dumbledore will take the blame for the attack. Indeed, the documents are all ready, the new minister assured them. As soon as the press is informed about what happened in Hogwarts, They will find many documents implicating the headmaster as the main culprit of the werewolf attack on the school. The deaths of Harry Potter as well as the boy who lived will be pinned on him. Like the previous minister, Dumbledore will be forced to leave the country. Just one more week, Parkinson said in a soft tone. 1 week later. You look so handsome. Lily clung to his arm. Harry was wearing some elegant dress robes made of black acromantula silk. Mum, that's enough, Harry grumbled. Did you at least leave Holly at home? Yes, but I still think you and your father are being too paranoid, Lily huffed. Don't forget whose idea this party was, Harry said. I know, but even that man won't be that bold to try anything here. The headmaster will be at the party, as well as important people from the ministry and a dozen auras. Lily pointed out. I wouldn't trust any of those auras, said Harry. His father, moody, dollish, as well as any decent aurora, had either been fired or put at some desk position, far away from the action. The auras today at Hogwarts were all new recruits and were definitely part of Parkinson's outer circle of minions. Make sure to keep an eye on Lyra until I find out what that man is planning to bring here, Harry said. The castle wards had been opened in order to allow all the guests to enter Hogwarts. But even with the defenses disabled, Harry would be able to use the elves and the living paintings to act as his eyes and ears, so he would know who comes in and out of the wards. Someone knocked at the door of Lily's office. Mum, we are ready. Lyra's voice could be heard on the other side. Come in, let me see you, Lily answered. The door opened and Lyra entered the room. Along with Ginny. Luna and Tori are waiting for us around the corner. We can't take long. The two girls were wearing dress robes with their house colors. Harry, you look so handsome, Ginny commented. She was feeling braver than usual today. You look great too, Ginny, Harry answered. What about me? Lyra exclaimed. Don't I look pretty? She said in a teasing tone. Harry got closer and placed a hand under her chin. You, my beloved sister, are the most beautiful of them all. Please, save a dance for me tonight. Lyra's face became red as a tomato. Dudrude? Lily started laughing. Harry, stop embarrassing your poor sister. Harry leaned closer to Lyra. You are 1,000 years too early to tease me. He gave her a playful wink before letting her go. He glanced at Lily. I'm going ahead, remember what we spoke about. Lyra finally reacted. Oh wait, come back here. Harry moved through the corridors at a brisk pace. Once in a while he would come across some excited group of students making their way toward the Great Hall, where the party was going to take place. His eyes moved to the paintings on the walls. Most of them were empty of the usual individuals depicted on them. This was because they were busy, watching the most important areas of the castle since he had put the entire school on high alert. The ghosts, the paintings and the house elves were all acting as his eyes and ears. After checking that one was around, he stopped in front of a set of armor. May as well activate them now and leave them on standby for later use. Pieto tum locomotor. The 4 suits of armor in the hallway attempted to move at the same time but were unable to distance themselves from the wall, and instead they just thrashed around. What is going on? Who put sticking charms on the armors? For a moment he thought this might be some sort of prank, but then Harry recalled something. Last year the school had many incidents involving objects falling onto students during the tremors caused by the giant basilisk, until one day the headmaster announced that he took preventive action and placed sticking charms on all the heavy objects in the castle that could potentially fall. This included every statue and set of armor. They must have forgotten to remove them, or they didn't think it was too important. Like this, they had sealed a large part of Hogwarts' defenses. It would take me all night to go around and remove every single sticking charm from them. No, that won't work. But perhaps there is an alternative to these ones. Harry's eyes moved to the dark end of the corridor. This castle contained one more set of golems that could be activated as a defense mechanism. I'll have to move those guys. If anyone actually dares to attack this castle tonight, they are going to be in for a nasty surprise. You are late. Where were you? Lyra exclaimed as she saw her brother sitting down next to her. I had some minor business to take care of, Harry answered. Minor business? Lyra raised an eyebrow. Toilet, huh? Ron nodded in understanding. I also made sure to make room for this. He took a large steak with his bare hands and placed it on his plate. Have you seen the size of this meat? Ron, please. At least use the knife to cut it, Neville begged. Ugh. Does someone want to change seats? Hermione was 4 seats away from the redhead boy but still felt the need to ask. I'll trade with you, Lyra offered. She was just 2 seats away after all. No, that's... You know what? My seat is fine, Hermione said. Ron, no one is going to want to dance with you if you keep eating like that, Seamus warned his friend. No one is going to dance with you either, no matter how you eat, Seamus, Ron snapped. And who cares about the dance? That's for the seniors. I only care about the food, Ron then added. Harry ignored this and looked around the Great Hall while his classmates engaged in another loud argument. The size of the hall had been enhanced further to fit an extra-large table where several important guests from the ministry were seated, including Minister Parkinson and his right-hand secretary, Madame Umbridge. The tables had also been placed in a circular manner around the room, leaving a large opening in the middle to act as a dance floor. The decorations had been changed to make it seem more elegant and luxurious than usual. They even created an extra garden right outside the Great Hall, so people could have a relaxing walk after dinner. Looks beautiful, doesn't it? Hermione leaned closer to Harry and asked. It's like a fairy tale. Yes, magic can do some impressive things sometimes, said Harry. Hey Harry, Lavender called. What's with the earrings you are always wearing now? What about them? He asked. What are those stones? They don't look like diamonds, Hermione said. They are a special type of stone that can store magic, Harry explained. I should have guessed you're not wearing them as a fashion statement or anything. Lavender looked disappointed. A fashion statement? Why would I wear something that has no practical use? Harry wondered out loud. So they are like magical artifacts. That's fascinating. I have read a lot about practical jewelry in the magical world, Hermione said. You don't see them often here, but they are very common in my country, Parvati commented. My father always has every finger fitted with a magical ring of some sort. And what do these do? Hermione pointed at the earrings. I already told you, they store magic for later use, Harry answered. That's it? But wait, what do you need so much magic for? Hermione didn't understand it. What do you Harry, Ginny now called for him and interrupted Hermione. Yes? What is it, Ginny? Harry turned to look at the redhead. She seemed a bit hesitant but finally decided to ask. Say Harry, are you going to dance after dinner? Hold your horses, redhead. I was going to ask Harry for a dance first. Katie Bell stood from her seat to get closer. What, Katie? You can go with one of the seniors, Ginny told her. Why should I? I'm only a year older than Harry. Isn't that right, Harry? Katie asked him. Why did they have to make this a dance? Harry lamented. Oh, Lyra, Neville called for his sister with a nervous voice. Yes? She turned to look at the boy. This could you? He pointed with his finger. What is this? Harry raised his voice. What are you going to ask my little sister? Neville's eyes opened widely and he got even more nervous. Harry, stop! Don't scare poor Neville. Lyra glared at him with a deep frown. No, Neville tried to point again. His eyes moved to the potato salad in front of Lyra. She is just in her 2nd year, Harry huffed. If Neville thinks he can take advantage of my family even if it's him, so what? If he wants to ask me to the dance, he is free to do so. Lyra snapped. You were going to dance with Ginny, weren't you? No one is dancing with Ginny, Ron exclaimed. Shut up, Ron. Ginny smacked his head hard enough to almost dunk his face on his plate. You know what? Lyra turned to Neville. I would love to dance with you, Neville. Thank you for asking me. Yes. The boy sat back down and kept his head lowered. Neville. Seamus shook his shoulder. Did you get the potatoes? Shut up, Seamus. Neville snapped at him. What? What did I do? Seamus looked baffled. Once dinner was concluded, a music band appeared on the newly made platform and started playing music. Students, professors and other guests made their way to the center. Sorry, I know you don't like dancing that much, Ginny said. I don't mind if it's just this much, I'm just really bad at it. Harry told her. You are not that bad, she hurried to say. His green eyes went to a couple dancing close by. Ginny saw this and grinned. You are very protective of Lyra. I don't want anyone to hurt my family, Harry confessed. You think I am exaggerating? He asked her. Ginny shrugged. My brothers are the same, but I don't think you have to worry about anyone hurting your sister, especially Neville. He is terrified of you. Yes, I was surprised he even asked her to dance, said Harry. That was weirdly brave of him. Ginny chuckled. You know, not long ago you were obsessed with his books. What happened to that, Ginny? She lifted her amber eyes to meet his. Reality hit her in the face. You didn't have the best Hogwarts experience, huh? Said Harry. In her first 2 years of school, this girl had already been attacked by some of the most deadly creatures. The headmaster likes to say it's the safest place in the country. I don't know about that. Ginny chuckled. But I was always saved in the end, so it's fine. The song ended. I think I'm going to go sit with Luna for a bit, said Ginny. The other girls are going to lynch me if I try to keep you for longer. The other girls? Harry raised an eyebrow. A group of girls was sitting nearby and staring at him. I thought most of the school was scared of me, Harry said. Ginny smiled. The boys, yes. The girls, who knows? But I got the first dance. She gave him a playful wink before walking away. Tell Lyra to stay in the hall, Harry reminded her. It's my turn now. He saw Angelina Johnson approaching with a seductive grin. Potter. When Pansy finally let him go, he felt a strong pull on his arm. When he turned around, he found himself face to face with Daphne. She is mad. Daphne always ends up calling him Potter when she is angry. What did I do? He asked. If you are done having fun with half the girls in the hall, I think there is something you should hear, Daphne said in a cold tone. That was hardly half the girls in the hall, and it would have been impolite to refuse, said Harry. What happened? The music started again. Harry realized they couldn't just stand there and talk, so he grabbed her arms and put them around his neck. Daphne raised an eyebrow but did not complain and soon started dancing with him. The minister has been whispering something to a few young men before they left the hall. Also, most of the seniors in my house are acting very suspicious. All of them are sitting down and looking around the room like they are waiting for something to happen. Not bad. Harry also noticed those things, but the difference was that he already knew that something was going to happen. You knew, Daphne stated. It's okay. I already know who the targets are. Just make sure that... Harry stopped mid-sentence when he noticed someone was missing. She was here a moment ago. Where is she? Who? Daphne asked. My sister Lyra. She is gone. She must be with... Daphne's eyes narrowed. I can't find my sister either. We have a problem, Harry whispered in his mother's ear. Lily was sitting at the adults' table along with the other teachers and ministry guests. What is it? She knew her son would not call her unless something important had happened. Can't find Lyra. Her friends are missing too, Harry said. They must be outside, in the gardens. Harry, it must be... Lily was about to say it was nothing to worry about, but stopped herself when she saw his serious expression. I'll help you look. Lily? Is something amiss? Professor McGonagall asked when she saw Lily standing up for the first time during the party. I just need to speak with my daughter about something, don't worry. Lily didn't want to cause panic yet. Harry, he turned around and saw Daphne. I spoke with some Gryffindor girls. They saw Lyra going outside with Longbottom. See? They must have gone to the garden. Lily felt a bit more relieved to hear this. Let's go, said Harry before he started walking away. Daphne and Lily shared a look before following his steps. As soon as Harry stepped outside, he realized that this was going to be harder than he thought. The garden was completely filled with students walking all over the place. Even with his enhanced senses, it would be like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Lily and Daphne also went outside and started to look. Lily had been expecting to spot her daughter after a couple of minutes of looking around. But 10 minutes later she still had no clue where her daughter was, and now she was getting worried. Harry, where is she? Lily found Harry near the dirt path that led back to the castle from the gardens. Did you see anything? Asked Daphne. Harry knelt down and picked up something from the floor. It was an earring in the shape of a carrot. He only knew one girl who would wear something like this. This must be Luna's. An elf appeared next to Harry. His little face was twisted with panic. "Sir, we have spotted intruders in several parts of the castle." "What kind of intruders?" Harry asked. "Humans wearing black robes, sir, and trolls, sir," the elf exclaimed. "Black robes?" Lily cried. "Trolls!" Daphne's blue eyes were wide. Harry kept his calm and glanced at the elf. "Okay, tell me where and try to be specific." "Professor Potter." Some panicked students came running to them. "You have to come quick. There's been a fire at the hedge maze. 15 minutes earlier." "Come on. I heard there is even a hedge maze," Lyra said with excitement. "It's cold outside," Luna complained. "Lots of people," Astoria complained, but then she looked around. There were a lot of people inside too, perhaps even more. "Outside then." "See, Astoria is on my side," Lyra grinned. "But Harry said to stay here," Ginny told her. "My brother can't tell me what to do. Come on, Neville, let's go see the garden." She grabbed Neville's hand and pulled him away from the seats. "But, I should go back with Ron," the boy said. "My brother is still eating. You are not missing anything there. And last time I saw him, Seamus was half asleep leaning against the table," said Ginny. "It's decided then. Let's go explore the garden." She pulled Neville along the way. "I want to go see the maze first," she exclaimed as they went outside. Ginny sighed. "We should go too." "It's cold," Luna complained again. "Luna, we are in June already. It's not cold at all," Ginny told her weird friend. Luna frowned while glancing outside. "There is something cold out there. Do we really have to go in there?" Neville saw the massive hedge maze and became worried. What if we get lost in there? He was mostly worried about Harry finding him alone with his sister and getting the wrong idea. "There is no way we get lost. Come on." Lyra laughed, and they both entered the maze. At first they came across several other groups of students, but after the 5th or 6th turn, they were alone. A few more turns and they could not even hear the voices of the other kids. The noise of the party had completely disappeared and was instead replaced by an eerie silence. Lyra, Neville looked around. Everything seemed the same. When glancing upwards he could only see the edges of the plants and the dark sky. "Are you sure we are not lost?" "Lost? Don't be ridiculous, this is a maze for kids." Lyra tried to brush off Neville's concerns, but she was starting to get worried too. She took a few more turns with Neville following close behind her, but they didn't seem to be getting closer to the center of the maze. Lyra?" Grey smoke appeared out of nowhere and started to fill the narrow passages. "Okay, there is something wrong," she had no choice but to admit. "Let's turn around and try to—" They were both startled by the sound of footsteps right behind them. "You want to leave now, little one?" A mocking voice was heard. It sounded playful, but there was a clear threat in it. Neville froze when he saw a black-robed person walk out and stand behind them. The man was wearing a pearl-white mask. "The fun has just begun." That's a... Neville pointed at the masked man with terror in his eyes. "Expelliarmus." A flash of light came out of Lyra's wand and blasted the wand away from the masked individual's hand. "Bloody hell, that hurt!" He let out a shout of complaint. 2 more masked persons came out of their hidden spots. "You idiot, pay more attention," one of them said. "Neville, come on, run." Lyra took Neville by the cuff of his robes and pulled him along. The 3 masked men were blocking the only way out, so they had no choice but to venture further into the maze. "Hurry, you idiots, we can't let the boy who lived escape." "Yes, the Dark Lord will kill us if we fail." Neville huffed and puffed as they ran. "Those are Death Eaters," he finally said. "I know." Lyra looked around. Everything looked the same, so she had no idea where to go from here. "You disarmed one of them. That was incredible," Neville said in between breaths. "That was nothing. Daphne would have thrown like 3 more spells and completely disabled him. As much as she would like to brag, she knew her brother would tell her that she could have done better." "Lyra, where are we going?" Neville decided to ask as they were just going further and further into the maze. "To the center. Maybe there is another way out from there," Lyra hoped. As the 2 of them took the next turn, they finally arrived at the center of the maze. "Yes, we found it," Lyra exclaimed. "And if there isn't?" Neville asked after seeing that the center of the maze only contained a small statue with some congratulatory message. There was no other way out. You think they made it fireproof? Lyra asked. What? You don't mean Incendio? Lyra pointed her wand at the back wall. The leaves and branches immediately burst into flames. What are you doing? We are going to die in a fire now, Neville exclaimed. What does it look like I'm doing? I'm making a new path, Lyra pointed. The fire consumed the shrubbery, and soon enough, there was a hole big enough for them to pass. Incendio. Lyra continued to burn her way through the maze. After the fourth time, she could tell they were getting closer to the exit. Just one or two more. Lyra's breathing was starting to become more irregular. Are you okay? Neville looked at her with concern. She now appeared to be a lot more tired than he was. Fine, just a bit more. Those fire spells were taking a toll on her. Incendio. There. Neville turned around to find the source of the voice. Lyra, they found us. The downside of Lyra's strategy became evident. It was very easy to follow them since they were leaving a trail of burned plants. Let's go. Lyra crossed through another burned hole, hoping to find the exit, but she only found herself surrounded by more walls. There is no other choice. I have to fight them. She turned around, prepared to put up a struggle, but her wand was immediately pulled away from her. No. She was then hit by another spell that pushed her back with a lot of force, making her fall against the wall of branches. Lyra, Neville exclaimed. He hurried to get in front of her in a protective manner, and pointed his wand at the three masked men. Leave her alone. I will fight the three of you. The trio of Death Eaters started laughing. Go ahead, do your worst. One of them got in front of the group and taunted Neville. The boy trembled. He wasn't even sure what spell he could use in this situation. Neville, just run away. You can beat them. Lyra told him. No. Neville pointed his wand at the masked man. There was one spell that Professor Potter had taught them during this last trimester, but he had been unable to use it successfully so far. Stupefy. A bright red light came out of Neville's wand and flew directly at the Death Eater. Neville's eyes widened, both shocked and happy at his accomplishment. This sensation went away quickly when he saw the masked man flick his stunner away like it was some sort of insect. What a disappointment. I was expecting something better than a stunner from the boy who lived, the Death Eater said. Just kill him already. There is no need to waste time. What about the girl? She is not one of the targets. We kill her too, I guess. I doubt the Dark Lord will care. I suppose we better do this thoroughly. Lyra and Neville were horrified to hear their conversation, as they casually decided to kill them. She opted to do the one thing she could do at this moment. She screamed as loud as she could. Shut her up. Silencio. One of them cast a silencing charm at her. Just kill them already, we have to leave before. Found them. The voice of Astoria could be heard on the other side of the maze wall. Over here, Ginny shouted. See? I told you that if we follow the Raxperts we will find them. Lyra is always surrounded by them, Luna explained. Lyra tried to call for them but was unable to make a sound. Ginny, be careful, there are 3 Death Eaters here, Neville screamed. There, Gryffindor. Ginny cut open a hole in the shrubbery wall. Wait, what did he say? The 3 girls were now able to see Lyra lying on the ground and Neville staring at them. Behind them were 3 creepy individuals with black robes and white masks. I think he said Death Eaters, Luna commented casually. Dangerous. Astoria narrowed her eyebrows. Now what? The first Death Eater asked. Let's just kill the boy at least, another one said. Let's kill them all. The third one pointed his wand at the 3 girls. Avada Kedavra. Ginny yelped in surprise and moved out of the way of the green curse. If it wasn't for all the dodging practice they did during Harry's lessons, she might not have reacted in time. Dismemberer. Luna was the first one to react and she used the most potent spell she knew, the one that Harry had recently taught her. The Death Eater who shot the killing curse was hit on his right arm by a yellow light, and immediately felt the effects of Luna's curse. What is happening to him? Neville exclaimed while staring at the masked man as he began to scream. What curse was that? One of his companions asked. Bloody hell, his arm, the other one shouted as he saw his friend's arm coming off its place and falling onto the ground, followed by a stream of blood. Lyra and Neville had front row seats to the macabre spectacle, but the girl was able to recover quickly from the shock. She took Neville and dragged him along. "Hurry!" shouted Ginny. Lyra and Neville passed through the opening left by Ginny's spell, and they were finally out of the labyrinth. "Blood! Lots of blood," Astoria said while looking at the wounded Death Eater. "That was a bit more graphic than I expected," Luna said. "What in Merlin's name did you expect was going to happen?" Ginny shouted. "Like, his arm coming off but without the blood," Luna admitted. "That's not how real bodies work." Ginny looked back as they ran. The two other Death Eaters had stopped chasing them in order to assist their companion, but she knew they would soon come after them again. "We need to go find some help," she suggested. They had come out from the back of the hedge maze and there was nothing or no one around here. "If we make a turn to the left we can go back to the Great Hall," said Neville. "Yes, let's do." "Careful," Astoria shouted in a very out-of-character manner before shoving Luna away from her. A nasty-looking curse passed between them and hit the dirt ground. As the curse made contact with the surface it started to dissolve. The group turned around and saw that the remaining two Death Eaters were already catching up to them. They now had no choice but to run in the opposite direction to get away from those two. "Wait, if we follow that dirt path we can get to the front of the castle," Ginny pointed ahead. "We can lose them inside the castle," suggested Neville. "I think I lost my earring," said Luna. "Luna, who cares about that now?" Lyra shouted. "Oh, I can speak again," she realized. "But I will look weird with only one." Luna pouted. "Your priorities are so messed up." Ginny gave her a black stare. "Pyros!" One of the masked men threw a ball of fire that hit a nearby wall and splashed fire over them. "Ah!" Ginny clutched at her shoulder when some flames fell on her. "Ginny!" Lyra exclaimed with worry. "I'm fine." She did her best to ignore the pain on her left shoulder and pointed her wand back. Some green goo appeared in the air before splashing all over the floor, right behind them. "What was that?" Neville asked. "Slippery charm, my brother Fred taught me that one," Ginny said. As soon as the two men stepped over the goo they tripped over and fell down while screaming curses. "Nice," Astoria said. "Awesome, Ginny," Lyra added. "There, I can see the front entrance," Neville said with excitement. The group did not slow down as they could still hear their pursuers right behind them. "Hurry, inside." Lyra opened the door and ushered everyone to enter. She waited until the last person had passed before entering herself, but when she was about to close the door behind her she heard one of the men. "Bombarda." She was still clutching at the door handle as it exploded. With a quick reaction, Lyra used her ring shield, the one her brother had made for her. This time she knew how to use it and managed to create a powerful shield around herself to act as protection from the explosion. However, the shield was only able to cover her upper body and her legs still received some cuts from the flying pieces of broken wood that came from the door. Lyra fell to the ground and continued to roll as more flying debris passed by. "We got you." One of the Death Eaters immediately appeared on the other side of the entrance. The group was not able to see their faces, but by their voices alone it was easy to tell how enraged those two were. Their jovial and mocking tone from before was now gone, and was replaced by pure bloodlust. "This game is over, no more running." The Death Eater pointed his wand at the defenseless Lyra who was lying on the stone floor of the castle entrance. "Avada Kedavra! Avada Kedavra!" The green spark of light manifested from the wand of the Death Eater, and flew directly to Lyra. No one was able to react in time to save her, and they watched the green specks dissipate after the impact, right in front of them. "No!" screamed Ginny. "Lyra!" Luna and Astoria exclaimed together. "Oh no!" Neville covered his mouth in horror. "Ah, what is that?" Lyra stared in awe at the stone hand that had appeared in front of her, just in time to block the spell. The hand had come out from the ground and was made of some sort of pearl-white stone. The two Death Eaters didn't understand the situation any better. They had both assumed the girl was dead and were ready to move on to the other children. But then they saw that thing appear out of nowhere. They then saw the stone hand rise further and further into the air. An entire figure was now coming out of the ground, but it wasn't breaking the floor tiles. It was more like the stone was changing shape and moving around to let this white figure out. Ginny hurried to grab Lyra and move her back. She did not want her friend close to whatever that thing was, even though it had just saved her life. "That's a golem," Neville was the first one to recognize the creature that appeared in front of them. The golem was now completely in the open and it stood between the children and the two Death Eaters. The construct was humanoid in shape, almost 3 meters tall, and had very simplistic features, with something resembling a basic face and some lines across its body to represent muscles. "It looks a bit like Gole," Lyra said. The golem in front of her reminded her of the small toy that Harry had made for their sister, except this one was made of stone and was much, much bigger. "Where did this thing come from?" one of the masked men asked. "I heard some rumors that Hogwarts statues and suits of armor were able to move and fight during emergencies, but I have never seen this one before," the other one added. "What do we do?" Neville asked. "It looks like he is on our side. I wouldn't worry too much," Luna said. "Let's hope so. We don't need more enemies," said Ginny while clutching onto Lyra. "This thing is creeping me out." "Blow it out," said one of the masked men. "Tusk, it's always me. Bombarde." The other one pointed his wand at the golem and gave it a flick. A soft crack could be heard before a tiny piece of white marble fell from the golem's chest. "What the? How is it still standing?" the man who had just shot the spell asked. "What are this then?" Bombarda Maxima. He put a lot more magic into the spell now. This would be enough to bring down a magically reinforced wall. Once again they heard a soft crack and a slightly bigger piece around the size of a pinky nail fell onto the ground. The golem stood as if nothing had happened. The cracks on its surface had already started to be magically repaired. "It's heavily reinforced. This must be a creation from the headmaster," one of the men concluded. "Then, what do we do?" The golem started moving towards them, and the two men became more anxious. "Let's go find the others. Then we can bring some trolls to break this thing." But the boy, the Death Eater, glanced at Neville. The rest were not important, but if they let without killing the boy who lived after being so close, they would definitely be punished. "We have no choice. We can't destroy that thing. But at least golems are always slow, so we can." Both Death Eaters heard a strange sound, and when they looked over, the golem, who had been standing some good 16 feet away, 5 meters, had disappeared from its previous position and was nowhere to be seen. "What the?" They then noticed that all the children were looking upwards, so by mere instinct they followed their eyes, and just for a fraction of a second they were able to spot the golem descending from the air and landing right on top of one of the two masked men. The Death Eater had his body crushed under the weight of the massive construct, while his companion watched in horror. What is that?" The masked man muttered the words as he tried to stand back and get away from the golem. The golem twisted its body at lightning speed, and before the man had time to process what was happening, one of the golem's hands got a strong grip on his head. "No!" the masked man screamed. He had never felt this afraid before, because he was aware of the futility of the situation. This golem was going to kill him, and there was nothing he could say to change its mind. The magical construct had no feelings or empathy. It just followed its last given command. But the masked man had to try. "Please, let me." That was as far as he got before the golem used its powerful grip to crush his skull, as easily as breaking a raw chicken egg. The golem's eyes were made of some type of crystal, and at that moment they started to shine with an eerie blue light. "Kill the intruders." The golem didn't open its mouth to speak, but sound came out of it. A command that had been given with a familiar voice. "Harry?" Lyra could have recognized her brother's voice a mile away. "Harry, what?" "Go check on that fire. I will track down these intruders," the elf mentioned. Harry told his mother. Lily was a bit hesitant for a moment, but then, she knew her son could handle this by himself. Her priority should be to find her daughter. "Okay, but be very careful, Harry." "I'm going with you, Professor," Daphne said. She knew that if she went with Harry she would only be a bother and get in the way. Lily and Daphne were guided to the back side of the hedge maze by a few senior students. "Someone has burned their way out of the maze," Lily pointed out while looking at the hole in the shrubbery wall. "Yes, we thought at first it was some student trying to be clever, but then we saw a large fire on that dirt path that goes around the castle, that looked like dark magic, Professor," a worried student said. "Yes, and I noticed some guys with black cloaks running that way right before the fire. Those were definitely not students," another one added. "Okay, you," Lily pointed at one of the students. I want you to go inside and tell the headmaster everything that you saw. She then looked at the others, and the rest of you. I want you to gather the students here at the garden and bring them back inside the hall. Make sure no one leaves. The senior students went on their way, leaving Lily alone with Daphne. You should go back inside too. No way, Professor. My sister is also missing. I'm not going anywhere without her. It may be dangerous, these black-robed individuals they mentioned. Lily already had a good idea of who they could be, given the current situation and Harry's worries about who could be behind this. I am not as defenseless as you think, Professor. I know what I am doing. A quick glance at her determined blue eyes was enough for Lily to realize that the girl was not going to back down. Very well, but stay close to me and do what I say. After Daphne gave her a nod of consent, the two of them hurried towards the dirt path, where the students had seen the fire. Wait, there is something over there, Lily warned. Daphne wand ready. Yes, Professor. There was a dark bundle at one side of the path. It was hard to tell what it was at first because the moon was not offering much light on that night. But when they got a bit closer and heard it moan in pain, they knew it was a person wearing a black cloak and lying on the ground. He appeared to be severely injured. Lily spotted several stains on the dirt that were probably blood. Hey, turn around slowly. Lily had her wand pointed at the man ready to fire. Ugh. The man managed to turn himself on his back. Lily spotted a wand in his hand and immediately fired a disarming charm at it. They both were now able to see the man's face, or more like they couldn't, because he was wearing a mask, a very familiar white mask. Lily had seen a few like this one before, a Death Eater, in Hogwarts. Her son's worries appeared to have been warranted after all. Daphne noticed that the wand from the Death Eater had fallen close to her feet, so she knelt down and picked it up. She gasped loudly when she saw the wand. She recognized it. This was certainly not the Death Eater's wand. Her eyes moved quickly to the man lying on the ground, and managed to catch the moment when another wand appeared in his hand, likely from a hidden holster. Without hesitation she made a fast wand motion. Expelliarmus. Arg! The man yelped in pain when the wand was ripped from his hand, breaking a couple of his fingers in the process. Lily glanced back at Daphne for a moment and nodded. Good one. Professor, look. Daphne showed Lily the wand she had picked up. Lily's face went a shade paler. She grabbed the wand from Daphne's hand to take a closer look. Her face contorted with rage as she turned to face the injured Death Eater. Where is she? What did you do to my daughter? This is her wand. Lily sent a pulse of wind that lifted the man in the air and pushed him against the rocky wall. He grunted in agony and fell back on the ground but refused to utter a single word. Accio mask. Lily took the mask off his face, revealing a young man with blonde hair and very pale skin. I know him. That's Tobias Smith, Daphne exclaimed. He was in my house. Graduated last year. Lily stared at him. A new recruit. They send children to do the dirty work now. She would normally show more compassion, but if this boy had hurt her daughter, there would be no mercy. Harry was not the only ruthless one in the family. The youngster opened his eyes with difficulty and looked at her. Lily noticed the large stain of blood on his side now and the fact that he was missing an arm. He is not going to last long, he lost too much blood already, Daphne pointed out. Lily's eyes were cold as she spoke. Then you better answer quickly, boy. If you want to live, where are the girls? A cruel grin appeared on the boy's face. Death. My comrades must have got them by now. Lily's face went through many changes at that moment, but eventually went back to anger. I don't think so, Daphne said with conviction. Harry is here, he will. His eyes moved to Daphne and his smile disappeared. Why will, traitor, will die too. The Dark Lord, will. Oh. He tried his best to keep his eyes open a bit longer, but was unable to continue. His body gave up. He's dead, Daphne realized. She had mixed feelings about this. She may not have liked this guy, but this was the first time someone died in front of her. Although Harry had been very close. Let's go. We can't waste time here. Lily gave the boy a look of disgust. She felt no pity for him at this moment. Even if his family influenced him, he still had to make many bad choices to get to this point. After all, her old friend Sirius had been not much different, growing up in the Black House, but he chose to not become like them, and leave that family behind to become a better person. There is always a choice. After giving the dead young man a last glance, she turned around. We need to find those girls. She did not believe his words even for a moment. Lily was sure her daughter was alive. It's looking at us. Neville pointed at the golem with his shaking finger. He is not going to attack us, right? Ginny asked. No. It just spoke with Harry's voice. I think my brother sent it here to save us, Lyra said. The golem turned to them and advanced a few steps. Its eyes seemed to move to Lyra and then to her wounded legs. Protect the students. A voice came out of the construct again, but it was also Harry's voice. See, he is here to protect us, Lyra said. All of a sudden they heard a loud pop sound that startled them. Mrs. A house elf was now in front of them. Dobby. Lyra recognized the little creature. Mrs. is hurt. Dobby failed. Dobby is a bad elf. Tonight he had been tasked to protect Lyra, since Harry knew she was the most likely to do something stupid. But Dobby had lost track of her while they were in the maze, and had just now been able to find her after they entered the castle. The poor elf started to panic while trying to pull something out of the small bag tied his shoulders. Dobby, calm down. This is not your fault, Lyra said. That's your house elf. What is he doing at the school? Neville asked. I have no idea, although he is more like my brother's personal elf rather than my family house elf. Lyra understood that much at least. Here, Mrs. Dobby brought her a potion with some green liquid inside. Healing potion, high grade, Astoria commented. Potions were an important part of her family business, so she had been learning a lot about them and the ingredients used to create them for quite a while. Great. You are the best, Dobby. Lyra smiled and took the potion before applying some over the several cuts on her legs. The effect was immediately visible. She made sure to leave some and hand it over to Ginny. Here, put some on your shoulder. Ginny had been badly burned by that flame explosion from before. Lyra knew she was in a lot of pain even if she didn't complain. Thanks. Ginny accepted the vial with a smile and poured the remnants of the potion over her burned shoulder. Where do we go now? Luna asked. Should we stay here or try to go back to the Great Hall? Neville added. Lyra stood up. She felt much better now. If we stay here, there may be more of them coming through here. But if we go to the hall now, we could run into them, Ginny said. But no one knows we are here. If we stay, the only ones who will find us are the bad guys, Neville pointed out. We have him, Luna signaled at the golem. But is it actually going to protect us? Ginny wondered. Dobby, do you know anything about it? Did Harry really make it? Lyra asked the elf. Dobby shook his head. Dobby doesn't know. Fine. Let's go to the hall then. Staying here in the entrance just seems more dangerous. Lyra decided. They all agreed to that, so they ventured up the stairs and went further into the castle. Tap, tap. The group kept glancing back as they walked. It really is following us, Neville said. How else is he going to protect us? Luna asked. It is following us, but I would still feel safer if I had my wand, said Lyra. Dobby will also protect the missus, the elf declared with confidence. Lyra chuckled. Thank you, Dobby. I feel safer now. I will also, you know. Neville stammered the words. Oh? Ginny gave Neville a side glance. There are a lot of blibbering humdingers flying over Neville's head, Luna pointed out. Just a few minutes after the group departed from the entrance, 3 large individuals came through the hole left behind by the broken door. I can smell a lot of blood here. The door has been completely destroyed. Yes, something happened here. The 3 large men wore simple pieces of wool clothing that barely covered their muscular torsos. Their bodies had copious amounts of hair, including their faces. This all combined gave the men a very feral and dangerous look. Sniff, sniff. Oh, what do we have here? One of them moved his eyes towards the 2 dead men on the floor. Bloody hell, what a mess. The 3 men looked over the scene without showing much change in their expressions, as if the blood and gore was something they had grown used to. What happened here? Those guys were not killed by magic. One of them kneeled next to the bodies for a better look. How so? This one has been crushed, and the other one had his head broken into pieces. You're right. It doesn't look like any spell I know at least. You think the trolls went wild on them? Well, a troll could definitely do this. I bet those newbies messed up big time and got killed. Ah, I bet that's what happened. Those bloody idiots. Wait, shh. Someone is coming. The three men immediately went on alert and moved away from the door. Look, Professor. Someone broke the door. The voice of Daphne could be heard from outside the castle as she approached with Lily. The two of them entered with care. Lily went first with her wand at the ready. Something happened. She gasped at the sight of the two dead men. Daphne, I think it's better if you... Don't worry about me. I have seen a lot more blood than that. Daphne covered her nose. She didn't mind the sight that much, but the stench was very strong here. These are probably the companions of the one from before, Daphne said. Lily moved suddenly and got in front of Daphne. Protego, several spells impacted her shield. Who goes there? Tesk. Fine. Let's do this the hard way. A man's voice resounded from behind a column. The man then showed himself to them. He snarled at Lily and Daphne. The two ladies want to fight. Another Death Eater? You don't look like them. Lily said. I am not like those two on the ground. I am much more. With a grin on his face, he moved his wand at lightning speed. Two crimson lights shot out. Dodge! Lily shouted. She recognized them as extremely dark spells, even if she could not tell exactly what they were. The Protego charm was unlikely to block them completely. Incarcerous. Daphne responded by creating a series of ropes that flew at the man, but she was not done there. She used a continuous motion to also cast a silencing charm and a tripping jinx. Lily, for her part, was also going to cast a series of spells until she felt some movement at her side. He is not alone, she realized just in time to avoid being grabbed by a large man who had silently moved near her. The man made a noise of frustration that his plan didn't work. Of the spells thrown by Daphne, only the ropes created by the Incarcerous charm were able to hit. The man got the ropes tangled on one of his legs, making him almost lose his balance. The blonde girl was getting ready to continue her assault when someone took hold of her right hand and twisted it. Daphne let out a yelp of pain and was forced to drop her wand. The man then pulled her back and grabbed her neck from behind while still securing her hand. Gotcha! Daphne! Lily exclaimed. Let her go! She was about to point her wand at the man holding Daphne, when she heard the girl scream in pain. You better drop that wand before I break this girl's neck, the man said in a cold tone. Lily saw another one behind her, but did not dare to move now, lest Daphne got hurt. What do I do now? She wondered. The man behind Lily laughed while the last one struggled to get the ropes that Daphne had cast off him. What are you waiting for? Just break that little bitch's neck, one of them said. Professor, Daphne clenched her teeth. Oi, redhead, you better drop that wand. My friend over there is not going to hesitate to kill that girl, the man behind Lily said. Just at that moment of desperation, Lily noticed something before anyone else could. Something came out of the ground right behind the man who was holding Daphne without making any noise. What the? Troy, behind you. Before any of them could warn their companion, the silent white construct moved its hands at an incredible speed, securing both arms of the man, and then without hesitation, it squeezed them. The man could barely process what was happening before he felt his arms being grabbed and crushed. His bones made a loud crunching noise as they were destroyed. The man's grip on Daphne became loose and the girl did not waste time getting away from her captor, and hurried close to Lily. Lily did not understand the situation any better, but now that Daphne was free, she could fight. She twisted her body around and made a slashing motion aimed at the man who had been approaching from behind her. Devulsa. The purple light slashed the man across his chest, creating a massive cut. The man tried to react and ignore the pain to fire back at Lily. He then realized his wound was more serious than a simple cut when a purple substance started growing on his chest while making a sizzling noise. No, oh! The man screamed in agony. His flesh was being corroded at a fast pace. Right then, a crunching noise was heard. It was loud enough to earn the attention of everyone present. The head of the one who had been captured by the golem had exploded into a dozen pieces of flesh and bone when it was crushed with both hands. Troy, the last man, now realized that it hadn't been a troll that killed those two Death Eaters, but this golem. One more. Lily's cold green eyes turned to the last man. Arg! The man let out a scream of rage. As he did this, his eyes changed color to a bright and unnatural yellow. His muscles bulged even more, and fur started to coat his entire body. What is happening? What is he doing? Daphne was startled by the sudden change. Lily was more surprised than anything else because she knew this transformation very well. She had seen it many times when she and her husband had kept Remus company during full moon nights. This is impossible. We are 2 weeks away from the full moon, Lily said. Full moon? Wait, you mean this is a werewolf? Daphne then understood. They had briefly covered werewolves this year in defense against the dark arts. This man was not a normal werewolf. He was one of the elite soldiers from Fenrir Greyback's pack. Like their leader, he had achieved enough mastery over his curse to transform at will. However, unlike Fenrir himself, he would still lose himself to his savage instincts when transformed. This was not a concern for him at this moment. His companions were dead. He had nothing to lose. We cannot let him transform. Lily focused her magic and made a diagonal slashing motion. Diffindo. The werewolf's eyes became sharp as a blade. He twisted his body while it was still transforming and avoided the spell completely. Daphne hurried to retrieve her wand from the floor and tried to restrain the creature's movement. Incarcerus. She sent the ropes along with a tripping jinx. The werewolf moved out of the way of the spells with incredibly fast movements. As the transformation finished, he became faster and more agile. Lily was also trying her best and cast a barrage of spells at her dangerous foe, but all of them were avoided with ease. He moves too fast. I can't hit him at all, Daphne exclaimed. Lily decided to change strategies and target the floor itself. She pointed her wand down and created a large sticking charm in front of them. If the werewolf tried to approach them, he would become stuck. But despite its altered mental state, the werewolf appeared to maintain much of his intelligence. His next move was to jump over the area where the charm had been placed and directly lunge at Lily before she could do anything else. Professor, Daphne shouted when she saw this. Lily lifted her left hand and poured as much magic as she could into the magicite ring that Harry had given her, creating a powerful shield in front of her. The beast lifted his right arm, showing her his long, sharp nails before bringing them down on the shield. Lily was unsure if her protection was going to hold long against an attacker like this. But it turned out she would not need to worry about that. She never saw when it happened, but at some point the golem must have moved from its spot, because it was now right in front of her. It had gotten between her and the creature. The werewolf did not seem to mind that much. In its current state, he wanted to rip everyone and everything apart. He slashed with his sharp claws at the golem with no hesitation. The nails bit on the stone, making a loud and piercing scratching sound before the claw was grasped by the golem's hand and held tight. The beastman howled in pain when the golem's hand started to crush his flesh and bones, and his reaction was to use both his legs to kick the chest of the construct. His legs were powerful enough that the kick managed to push him back with such force that the golem's entire arm was ripped out of its socket. The werewolf was propelled 30 feet back with the golem's arm still attached to his own, while the white golem remained in place, completely impassive despite its missing limb. Lily and Daphne had their mouths open, but had nothing to say. They stared at the struggle between the werewolf and the golem in silence. Grrr! The beastman snarled loudly, showing his fangs. His yellow eyes became brighter as he stared at his target, ready to jump at it again and finish it off. We should help it out, Daphne said in a nervous tone. That beastman made her extremely nervous. Lily nodded. She knew what was at stake. If the golem was destroyed, they were next. Tap, tap. The golem started moving forward towards its target. Wait, no. Lily tried to warn the construct. Her sticking charm was still in place right ahead of him. If it continued on that path, it would certainly step on it and get stuck. Then the fight would be quickly over. The golem did not listen to her warning and continued, leaving Lily with no other choice but to remove the magical substance from the floor before it was too late. Unfortunately, the golem had increased its pace, leaving her not enough time to dispel the jinx. Stop. Wait. Lily hurried with her hand movements. Her eyes were glued to the floor where the golem was about to step on the green substance. Finite incantat. What? She did not have time to finish her chant when the feet of the golem took the next step. Much to her surprise, it did not get stuck. Instead, the sticky substance moved out of the way, allowing the golem's feet to step on the clean stone. One by one the golem continued to step forward, and every time its feet were about to touch the magical sticky substance, this one would move away like it was repelled by the golem's presence. Anti-magic? It was the only conclusion that Lily could reach at this point. She had only read about it in theories at this point, but there were some people who had worked on trying to create a material capable of nullifying magic, or at least repel it to some degree. It was different from the magical resistance of trolls or dragons. This method would basically push the magic away from the material, like magnets of opposite poles, instead of resisting it. The researchers did not get too far though. Some of them ended up with the conclusion that it was not possible, while others believed they were at least a century away from having the magical technology to create something like that. But somehow, the golem in front of her had such defenses. The white golem continued on its path, while the werewolf got ready to fight back. The golem's broken arm remained attached to the werewolf's upper arm. Its fingers were clutching with such force that the creature was unable to remove it from himself. "Crow, I'm going to break you," the beast spoke in an unnatural voice. The golem was only a few feet away but did not seem to be in a hurry to get closer, as it moved very slowly, one step at a time. The muscles on the werewolf's legs tightened up as he got ready to jump at the construct, ready to take another arm with him, but right before he could do that he felt incredible pain in his arm. "Arg!" The beastman screamed and looked at the source of this pain. The detached golem's limb was now actively increasing its grip on his arm. Everyone present heard a loud crunch when the bones in the arm snapped, but the golem's limb continued to press as the werewolf screamed and tried to remove it. The golem used this distraction to charge at the werewolf. It closed the 20 feet between them in less than a second. Its body twisted as it sent its remaining fist straight at the werewolf's head. He could not react in time, as he had been distracted trying to pry its arm off him. The white marble fist impacted the werewolf's right side of his face, breaking his nose, jaw and turning his right eye into mush before making the beast collide violently against the ground. Lily and Daphne stared without blinking at the werewolf. His body continued to twitch a few times before it finally stopped moving. "Is he dead?" Daphne asked. Lily walked a bit closer, circling around the golem so she could get a better look. "Oh." The punch from the golem must have had tremendous force because it completely destroyed the head of the werewolf. She could see how it was turned into a bloody mush. "Ugh, yes, he is definitely dead," she decided. "Kill the intruders." The voice came from the golem. "Harry, of course." Lily recognized the voice of her son. The golem moved again. It approached the dead werewolf, who was now starting to change back into his human form. It picked up its detached arm and placed it back into its place. "It can fix itself too. What kind of golem did my son make?" Lily knew Harry was very advanced in this type of magic, but could not have imagined he could create something this advanced. Could Dumbledore have a hand in this too? Did Harry make this? Is it not going to attack us, right? Daphne stared at the white marble golem. "I don't think." The golem turned around and appeared to be looking directly at them. "Protect the students." That's really Harry's voice. Daphne realized. "I think those are its commands. Kill the intruders and protect the students," Lily said. "Then let's hope it doesn't get them mixed up," Daphne muttered. "You think there are more of them?" "I don't know. I imagine making something like this would take a very long time. Not to mention several of them, but we can ask those things later. Lyra and the others had definitely come through here," Lily concluded. "Yes, and I bet they are trying to get back to the Great Hall." Daphne realized. Lily nodded, agreeing with her. "Let's hurry up." "Here, sir," the house elf said while pointing past a large door arch. Harry had let the elf carry him to the place where they had spotted the intruders entering the castle. "The astronomy classroom," he muttered. "I think I already know how they came inside. With the ward's protections turned off, there were many good spots to enter the castle without being noticed. The balcony of the astronomy tower was massive, and it overlooked an empty forestal area at the back of the castle, a good place to sneak inside. He went inside the large chamber and soon spotted a large number of objects that shouldn't be there, left carelessly in one corner. "That's a lot of brooms." Harry gave them a quick count and it seemed to be over 30. He turned to look at the elf. How many did you see exactly? Well, lots of them, sir, the elf answered nervously. 44 humans and 5 trolls. Harry moved his eyes towards a large painting near the entrance. It depicted a peaceful night scenery. An elegant knight was standing on a field, looking directly at him. That's a lot of intruders. The humans were all dressed in black robes and wore white masks. Harry asked. No, my lord, the knight answered. Only 15 of the humans were dressed as you mentioned. The rest just looked like uneducated thugs. Ruffians, if I may. They lifted those ugly creatures with chains and unleashed them in the castle. This is preposterous. If only I still had my body, I would. Okay, I understand, my good sir, Harry interrupted the grumpy knight. I will handle this. Did you happen to see where they went? Of course, this old knight saw everything. Let me tell you.